All right, today we're talking about a pretty huge shift happening inside finance departments. I mean, we're moving away from those endless soul-crushing spreadsheets and into a totally new kind of partnership, one between your team and, you guessed it, intelligent AI. So let's break down what this evolution actually looks like.
So, let me ask you something. Does this scene look painfully familiar? You know, your finance team, they're brilliant, right? But they are just buried, completely swamped in spreadsheets, manually pulling data, and constantly racing against the clock for reporting deadlines.
If you're nodding your head right now, trust me, you are not alone. This is a massive, industry-wide problem. These old-school manual processes and data stuck in different silos, well, they aren't just frustrating. They're a major bottleneck that's slowing down really critical decisions in businesses all over the place.
But what if you could just clear those bottlenecks for good? See, there's a new kind of AI that's starting to emerge, and it goes way, way beyond simple automation. We're talking about an evolution that is fundamentally changing the game for finance leaders.
Okay, so to really get our heads around the solution, we've got to diagnose the problem first, right? Let's dig into what we're calling the modern finance bottleneck, this feeling of being totally trapped by the tools of the past.
You know, the core issue, as our source material puts it perfectly, is the reporting trap. Think about that. This is where you have these incredibly skilled, strategic thinkers, people you hired for their brains, and they're forced to spend almost all their time just gathering data and churning out basic reports, not doing the high-value strategic analysis they're actually great at.
And this slide really lays out the 5 major pain points finance leaders are dealing with. You've got everything from the big strategic stuff, like totally inaccurate forecasting, all the way down to the daily grind, the sheer drudgery of manual reporting. And, underpinning all of it is this growing worry about AI security and trust. Each one of these, on its own, is a major drag on growth. Together, it's a real problem.
All right, so we've laid out the problems pretty clearly. Now, let's flip the script and talk about the solution. And to do that, it is absolutely crucial to understand that not all AI is created equal. We are moving way, way beyond the simple chatbots that most of us probably think of first.
And this one really gets to the heart of this whole evolution. We are shifting from a world where we prompt an AI, we give it a very specific command and it spits back an answer, to a world where we actually partner with it to tackle really complex goals. So this slide here kind of maps out the AI maturity curve. We all start at level 1 with those familiar chatbots and copilots. But the real transformation, the stuff that gets exciting, happens up at levels 3 and 4. That's where you have autonomous agents forming what's called a digital workforce. I mean, think of it like this. It's the difference between giving commands to a calculator versus collaborating with a full-time dedicated analyst. And that brings us to the hero of our story today, the AI agent. So let's properly introduce this concept and really define what makes it so different that we can call it your new digital coworker.
Okay, so the crucial difference here is that agentic AI isn't just following some pre-written script. It's an autonomous system. That means it can independently reason through a problem, plan out a solution, and then execute that plan across a bunch of different tools, all with very little human handholding.
And the contrast is just, wow, it's night and day. On the left, you've got the traditional finance world, right? Bogged down and manual work, always late with the month-end close, constant errors. But on the right, with an AI agent, let's call him Michael, like in our source material, you get automated workflows, you can see what's happening in real time, and you get these incredible predictive insights. It's a complete paradigm shift.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how does an AI agent actually solve those real-world pain points we were talking about earlier? Let's connect the dots here, from pain to gain, and we'll focus on 2 of the biggest challenges we saw.
All right, let's circle back to pain point number 1, the constant nagging struggle with volatile and just plain inaccurate forecasting. It eats up a massive amount of time, and worse, the plans you create are often obsolete the second they're published. Sound familiar?
So the solution? It's real-time predictive modeling. An AI agent can work on its own, analyzing all sorts of market signals and internal data to generate forecasts that are dynamic, that are always on. It can run thousands of what-if scenarios in seconds, giving leaders the kind of agility they need to make truly data-driven decisions.
And what about that reporting trap? That soul-crushing data drudgery that keeps your best people from doing their best, most strategic work? Well, here's the real game changer. The agent uses generative AI to fully automate the entire financial reporting cycle. I'm talking from data cleansing all the way to writing the executive summaries. This is what finally frees your finance team to become the strategic advisors you hired them to be in the first place.
Now, I know this all sounds incredibly powerful, but maybe also a little intimidating. So for our final section, we're going to talk about your roadmap, how to make this AI transformation feel accessible and, actually manageable.
It's the most natural question in the world, right? This technology has the power to totally redefine your business. But where do you even begin? What's step one? It can feel a bit like trying to boil the ocean.
Well, a supercritical first thing to think about is how you're going to implement this. As you can see here, trying to do it yourself often leads to some pretty big gaps. You get data silos, fragile integrations, and honestly, some serious security risks. Partnering up with an experienced AI provider, on the other hand, means you get a seamless and secure integration, which gets you to the good stuff, the value, so much faster. So, let's boil this all down into an actionable 3-step roadmap. It's simple. First, prioritize. Don't try to do everything at once. Start with one function where you can get the biggest, most visible win. Second, make sure you're focusing on true AI agents, not just basic automation. And third, partner up with an experienced provider who really gets the world of finance. And that brings us to our final thought for today. Let's make this totally real for a second. If you could onboard one digital coworker for your finance team tomorrow, and its only job was to solve their single biggest bottleneck, what would you have it do first?